Welcome back, everybody. It's Sport Federation TV, and as you know, lots of different sport codes, and of course, a lot of shall I say, excitement in the air at the moment compared to where we were about 7 or 8 months ago when we were in lockdown, and a lot of athletes were not able to train. And slowly, a lot of sports are now able to return to training, and quite a few, in fact, have been able to get back to moving towards events and that. And we've of course spoken to a lot of the sport codes over the last few months about their types of training, but not everybody has been able to train, and not everybody's been able to get events back on the park. So we continue our focus on the various sport codes that we have, and one of the sport codes that we of course have in South Africa, which is in fact an Olympic sport, is modern pentathlon. And joining me on the line now from Modern Pentathlon is Jenny O'Hanlon. Jenny, welcome to Sport Federation TV. Nice to see you on the other side. How are you?
Thanks, JP. Well, thank you. We're glad to be back and glad to see you active again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've managed to stay active, interview and bring all the sport federations that we've got and information as much as possible to the public, and of course the people that are participating in the sport codes. We know it's been difficult, as you heard me say. A lot of athletes haven't been able to train, but slowly we're starting to see the training, I wouldn't say get back to normal, but training activities. But before we begin to talk about training activities for modern pentathlon, I'm sure that there are a lot of viewers that are watching right now that are wondering, what is modern pentathlon? Can you maybe just give us an explanation?
Yeah, sure. So modern pentathlon is really one of the oldest Olympic sports, and it really consists of swimming, running, laser pistol shooting, show jumping, and fencing. So it's a great combination of physical ability as well as skill.
So have I got it right?
Sorry.
Swimming? Have I got it right? Swimming, running, shooting, fencing. Am I missing one?
Show jumping.
Show jumping, okay. So that's of course where the equestrian side of things come in. So let's just try and understand this now. If I'm am I called a pentathlete or a modern pentathlete? What would be how would you refer to me?
You're referred to as a modern pentathlete. I think the old ancient Olympic pentathlete was more around the military type scenario, where there was a lot of cross-country events, and the soldier had to get the message across the water to run to his horse and ride across terrain, etc., etc. So unfortunately it's a lot more modernized, and of recent times also we've moved away from .22 pistol shooting to pellets, and then from pellets to now lasers, making the laser shooting a lot more easily accessible, especially for our younger athletes. It's a much safer environment. It still has its issues, but it's certainly something we can start training children with.
I was just imagining that if one was to go to the Olympics and you watch modern pentathlon, you would have to find a facility that can have a swimming pool and a horse racing track and everything in one go. It might be quite difficult.
Well, it's in fact moving in that direction, is that internationally these stadiums are being built just like that.
Right.
So there'll now be a 25-meter swimming pool next to the riding arena in the athletics track, for instance, or they are going to run cross country between these various facilities.
Jenny, so let's talk a little bit about the actual athletes themselves. I mean, you mentioned one of the codes there being swimming. I'm assuming then if you're doing modern pentathlon and you've got these codes that you have to participate in, you have to be a swimmer, you have to be a runner, you have to be able to shoot. Do the athletes then work together with the other sport codes? For example, swimming South Africa or shooting South Africa, etc.
They certainly do, as a lot of them start at a very young age. So up to provincial level, we have under nines.
Yeah.
So we have from under nines to 70 pluses. So we find that a lot of the younger athletes are coming out of either a swimming or an athletics background. And then a lot of them also start with these multi-sports like biathlon or the biathlon, which is a run-swim combination under the Modern Pentathlon banner. And that is really where it starts for them. There are now other codes, subcodes within the Modern Pentathlon, such as laser run, and that really is the draw card mainly for your athlete, your runner, and they then learn to shoot. But the idea is that these various feeder codes ultimately, as the athlete grows up in age, that they also start taking on a new discipline.
So Jenny, we got to jump in here now. I have to ask you. Obviously, our focus is Western Cape athletes. How are we doing competitively as Western Cape athletes? Are we beating everybody else?
We do very, very well, actually. Especially our younger athletes. At the moment, the focus is definitely on growing the base amongst the younger athletes. And we find that, during this lockdown period, there've also been virtual races around the world in, say, like the laser run. And, recently we had one of our under 11s, one of our girls came second in the World Laser Run virtual event. It was a youth festival that the UIPM undertook, and then one of the boys, Liam, was third in the boys category, which was great. And then we had really right up to our masters competing in virtual events. So our athletes do very well, especially when they go to this, to the feeder codes. They generally walk away with many medals.
Jenny, a final question. Of course, we're just getting started with 2021. We know that the lockdown restrictions have changed somewhat, and that slowly some of the sport codes out there are training again. They are slowly getting back to limited and controlled forms of competition. Are there any events on the cards for Modern Pentathlon? Do you see the future within 2021, or have you guys maybe started looking at an activity calendar of sorts?
Yes, actually, we've managed to keep going quite well under the lockdown situation and the restricted codes because of the numbers. So where we've had to use indoor facilities, our numbers are really quite small, in district and provincial levels. And we combine our district events where we can, because we've had limited facilities, but we really have managed to go on. We've managed to do our league events, and then in a couple of weeks' time, we also have the South African Championships, which the Western Cape is hosting.
Wow, that's
and
fantastic.
That is just,
which of course, we'll bring all the medals back. We'll bring all the medals back for the Western Cape.
Well, we're going to try. We will have we'll have the numbers, but there's some very strong athletes in other parts of the country, and it always becomes a very competitive weekend, because we do the Modern Pentathlon and what we call the Tetrathlon, which is the 4 events only. So up to our youth 18-year-olds, we don't do show jumping. So that's referred to as a Tetrathlon. And then on the last day of the weekend, we will have the laser run only championships.
Jenny, we look forward to following the progress of the athletes in the Western Cape, getting lots of photographs and videos, and making sure that, and we've put it on our ticker line at the bottom here, that if anybody wants to start Modern Pentathlon, they just need to go to Facebook and do a search for Modern Pentathlon, and we look forward to catching up with you guys again soon.
Super. Thanks, JP. Thanks for the opportunity to chat again.
Thanks, Jenny. There we go, folks. Jenny O'Hanlon, or Western Cape Modern Pentathlon. Swimming, running, shooting, fencing, and of course show jumping. 5 sports in one. Very exciting. And as I said, go and find out more about Modern Pentathlon. The easiest way to sign up is just go to Facebook. Go and have a look on Facebook for Modern Pentathlon. Very exciting sport. 5 different codes, and of course an Olympic sport, and also one of the national sport codes that is structured within the SASCOC structure. Folks, don't go away. When we come back from the break, we'll carry on talking about sport in the Western Cape. Back in a sec.